There's a traditional approach that many people take when it comes to apologetics, and I'm there too, I like doing it, and that is to give factual reasons why we believe Christianity is true. So we argue for the existence of God using science or philosophy. We look at the existence of Jesus, we look at his death and resurrection, we look at the trustworthiness of the gospel manuscript. So that's great, I'm glad we do that. I enjoy it a lot. But I want to suggest this time on a different approach. And it's an approach that actually all of us follow anyway. So let me give you an example here. It starts with a need, something that we feel down deep that we really ought to have. And then we look at an object that we think might meet that need, and then we make a decision, yes or no. So here's my illustration of that before we look at Christianity. We need a toothbrush. Teeth just aren't feeling as good as they used to, and we look at the brush and all the bristles are splayed out. So we go down to a store and we look at different products and we pick one, and it's got claims about it, and we take it home and rip it open and try it out. And if it does what it ought to do, we're happy. So that's a really simple idea, but that's what we're going to do when we look at Christianity now. We're going to look at not from a factual evidence, not that it is true, but the way it can meet our needs. And if it can meet those needs, then we want to reach out, like we did for the toothbrush, and take a look at it. So this is a step before we examine whether it's true or not. So what are some needs that people have, or maybe we can say it this way: what does Christianity offer that might make people interested in it and at least hope that it's true? So in other words, get them curious, get them saying, well, that sounds good, let me see if there's anything to it. So it's not really intellectual arguments, it's how Christianity meets the most important needs that all of us have down deep. So that's what we're going to look at here. So what's one of these needs? Well, we want to have meaning in our life that suffering can't take away. Okay, meaning in our life. So what are we talking about? We're talking about meaning that's significant. Now, could you have meaning without God? Sure. But it's going to be pretty limited, it's going to be pretty shallow. So you could say, well, I've got meaning, I'm the president of the bank. Well, okay, that's good. I'm glad you've moved your way up, but that goes away. You retire, or they don't like what you did, or you move, something happens in your life, and it's gone. But we want meaning that is significant. So if Christianity is true, this meaning of what it is and what you are as a born-again Christian, that can't be taken away from you. You're part of something that's bigger than you are. Let me give you an example. By the way, I'm using a laptop here in case you're wondering what am I doing. Here's an example of that. Years ago, my family went up to Bodie, California, up near Mammoth. You go off, I don't know, like 15 miles on a small road, and it's a protected state park that was an old mining town. So the town is still there, but all the people are gone. So it's kind of eerie. You're walking around and just desolate. You hear the wind blowing through. And there was a church there. And so we looked, you couldn't walk into it, but you could look through the windows and see this church. And I started thinking, well, that's fascinating, because here are people that met 100, 150 years ago, whatever it was, 100 I guess. They met and they shared the same meaning that I share. I'm part of a big community of believers that have lived for the past 2,000 years. Talk about giving meaning. And it ties in, actually, I would say, with something else. So we want meaning in our life, and we want belonging. And so that church again comes in. I belong to a large body of believers. And today, a lot of that's disappeared, this idea of belonging, of being part of something. We're all fractured. We're part of, I guess, kind of a hyper-individuality these days. You go your way, somebody else goes their way, and we're all isolated little atoms. But Christianity says we're all God's children. We're part of a huge group that's been here. We have brothers and we have sisters in the faith. It's almost like if you go on a trip and you're in a different country and you run across a fellow U.S. citizen, fellow American, all of a sudden there's a connection there. And the same thing happens. A real sense of belonging, across centuries for Christians. In fact, Christianity is the largest multi-ethnic group in the world. It's the largest multi-ethnic community there is. There are Christians on every continent. We just think it seems to be drying out some here in the U.S., but it's booming in South America. It's booming in China. It's going great guns in Africa. And so we're part of a worldwide community of believers. We can hold hands around the world with each other. How about number 3? What else do we want? So we want meaning. We want a sense of companionship or belonging. And here's number 3 that I think Christianity at least offers. Again, I'm not arguing that it's true. It's just that it offers this. And it's a reality of justice and morality. In this world, it looks like a lot of people get away with things. And we say, that's not fair. That's not right. I better do something about it. I better go get involved myself. And so we get these killings that go back and forth in some of these countries that never end. But if we say there's a God, if we say Christianity is true, ultimate justice will be meted out. I think of somebody like Adolf Hitler. He kills millions of people. He gets his armies involved, kills millions of them, kills millions of people who are fighting him, and he just shoots himself. One little moment and he's gone. And you say, that doesn't seem fair. But if there's a God, there's an afterlife, and he will be brought up on charges. Okay, what about the reality of morality? Today you hear, well, that's okay for you, but not for me. Everybody's doing their own morality. It's my thing. And that's awfully frustrating to live like that. But Christianity offers a standard of morality that's outside of us, that there really is right and wrong out there. It's not just how you feel about it, but there is ultimate right and wrong. Here's something else Christianity offers: identity and self-worth. In our society, how do you get an identity? You work like crazy. You get a label, a name tag. You have an office. You have some kind of reputation. You write a book. You write a song. You appear on television. You're in Wikipedia. That's how you get identity. You must perform if you want to have an identity. That's your self-worth. Well, the problem is that can go away so fast. We know people who've been up on a pedestal and then been torn down because of moral failings. Well, there goes their self-worth. But Christianity is different. Performance is not what you're being based, your performance is not what gives you identity with Christianity. You don't have to compare yourself to others like you would out in the world. Christianity is not a performance-based thing. In fact, somebody once said Christianity is just one beggar telling other beggars where the food is. We're all fallen, we're all broken, we all fall short of God's standards. And so our self-worth comes from what he's done for us. Here's something else that I think is powerful about Christianity. What else does it at least offer? One more time, we're not saying it's true, we're saying these are the things that it promises, and then you can examine them. Well, here's something else. It offers you hope that changes everything. Hope is a desire, it's an expectation that something is coming. But you know, we're living in a society today that's changed all those rules about what we can expect. What are we hearing now? You live 70 years, if you're lucky, 80, maybe 90, and then you're in the ground and that's it. There is no hope. Your child dies of a disease, you'll never see the child again. You lose your spouse, you'll never see that spouse again. You sicken and you die. Everything that you hoped for, everything that you planned on, all the stuff that you're accumulating, it all evaporates. That's a terrible thing. No wonder we have a high suicide rate. We've got people full of anxieties, pumped up on drugs, because we're telling them there's no hope. Just make the best of what's here. And our hopes are always disappointed, aren't they? We put our hope in something else, money, a political party, education, and eventually it lets us down. We keep chasing this thing that's out there, and finally we just give up on it. But Christianity says good things will come true. Resurrection will happen. The world will be healed. Our souls and our bodies will be saved. What great news. My mom passed away some time ago, And I was able to think about this. I will see her again. She will be part of my life. For the non-Christian, what can they say when somebody passes away? That's too bad. No hope at all. Number 6, here's something else we can expect. If Christianity is true, we are given a sense of awe and a sense of inspiration. It's hard to have much awe anymore and inspiration. People let us down, institutions let us down. Science and materialism is, I love science. I'm so glad that we are given pills and we are given methods of technology and communication. That's great. But the thing is, that sense of awe and inspiration, it's taken a lot of it out of the world because it says, oh, it's all explained. A sunset is nothing but a set of waves hitting your eyes. But Christianity creates awe and inspiration. It says, this world has been designed. Your body is amazing because it's been designed. There's a God of love out there who loved himself, who loved us so much that he brought himself into the world in the form of Jesus, put himself on the cross, went through humiliation, went through a terrible death, still bears the scars. And he did that for us. Talk about a sense of awe. I stepped into this world. We have the Bible. What an amazing book. Written over 2,000 years on different continents by a bunch of different people who spoke different languages, but it all comes together, it meshes together. Amazing. Sometime if you have a chance, I have something called an overview of the Bible. But just take a look. What a book. Talk about awe. How about this? We recognize that we have a soul. Is that amazing or what? Does that give you a sense of awe? We're not just flesh and blood. We're not just neurons firing. We're not just chemicals washing around in our brain. We have brains, but we have an invisible portion of ourselves called the soul. We're self-aware. We have this self-consciousness that's going on inside of us. Amazing. We can think deep thoughts about thinking. We have free will. That's pretty awe-inspiring. Now, it seems obvious, doesn't it, that we have free will, but you know, modern science, the secular view, the non-Christian view says, you're just a brain. The brain is giving us an illusion that we have free will, but we don't. We are programmed because of the chemicals. Chemicals don't have free will. Meat doesn't have free will. That's all you are, chemicals and meat, all the way up and down. So you don't have free will. You're a program. You're a puppet, whether you believe that or not. But Christianity says, no, no, no. You are created in the image of God. You're self-aware, and you have free will. Something else I think is part of this awe and inspiration. We're part of something much bigger. We're part of a worldwide movement. We're part where God has given us the ability to make changes out there. Jesus leaves the world. He didn't stay. He left. And he wanted his disciples, and that's us, to make a difference in the world. What a responsibility. We're supposed to be stewards of the earth. That's what God told us to be in Genesis. And so we can sit back and appreciate art and music and beautiful sights because they stir up our soul. What's inside of us, that invisible part of us, that music that carries us away, those sunsets that are so beautiful, the falls at Yosemite. That's all a gift of God that we can appreciate. One more thing. What else does Christianity give us, at least offer to give us? An end to guilt. Is that amazing or what? We have our standards that we think we ought to do as decent people. We can't even live up to those. Forget the 10 Commandments. We can't live up to our own standards. We're always falling short. We either do what we shouldn't do or we don't do what we ought to do. And we're just loaded down with guilt all the time. We feel guilty. We spend a lot of money. We go to psychiatrists. We take pills to get rid of this guilt. But Christianity says, you know, you're feeling guilty because you are guilty. And the answer is not therapy and drugs and holistic this and medicine that. The answer is forgiveness. That's what Jesus offers us, forgiveness for all that we've done wrong. One more thing. I'm piling them on here, but it's so neat to think that Christianity offers us so much. Again, I'm not arguing that it's true. That's for other talks. But all I'm doing is just, these are the promises of Christianity. And we all want these things because they appeal to our souls, to our inmost being. Here's another one. Christianity offers respect for others. Why is that? Well, you've seen the hostility that's out there today. Group fighting group, individual fighting individual, political parties snapping and snarling. We've got racism, sexism, bullying, sex slavery, religious bigotry. But Christianity is not based on works. If you're part of a religion that you're working your way and you think you're doing pretty well, you can look down on others and say, they're not doing as well as I'm doing. And so everybody's checking everybody else out as far as how far are we on this road to God. Christianity, though, is not based on works. We can't have pride for our salvation. We did nothing to deserve it. We had to just put our hand out. It was totally unmerited. And frankly, others who are not Christians might be better people than we are. Now that's an eye-opener. That's kind of interesting to hear, but that's what Christianity says. This is a multicultural religion. We're all created in the image of God. That's a sense of brotherhood out there. We're all created in the image of God, so we need to respect and deal well with each other. Let me add one more thing that I think Christianity offers. It's security. This is a world that's not really secure. Physically, we're not secure. We can be out at school and be shot at. We can be driving a car and have somebody with road rage run us off the road. I mean, we're not secure. We're not secure physically. We're not secure health-wise. We can get all sorts of terrible diseases. We're not secure in our jobs. We're not secure with money. So many ways that our security is on pretty thin ice. We think we're secure because we've chosen a mate, a lover, some really good friend. Can that go away? Yes, you bet. So, conclusion. What are we talking about as far as Christianity here? There are good intellectual reasons. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I think there are good intellectual reasons to believe in Christianity. I just didn't talk about that now. I'm saying Christianity, I'm going to make a list here, meets our deepest longings, the yearnings that we have in our heart for life and abundant life. It adds meaning and belonging. It creates a standard for morality. It gives us self-worth and identity. It offers hope. It thrills our soul, gives us that sense of awe. It rids us of guilt. We get rid of that big burden of guilt off of our backs. And it helps us treat others with respect that other religions and other approaches don't do. And it offers security. Isn't that a great thing? So are there some resources that might help you? Yeah. I would suggest a book called Making Sense of God by Tim Keller. Boy, he's an amazing pastor. If you can listen to any of his sermons, pick them up on YouTube sometime. But Making Sense of God, and feel free to email me. That's Gary at apologeticsforlife.org. And so, again, think about how we might approach people. We might want to go directly to apologetics. Here are reasons to believe in Christianity. But maybe first we want to prepare the ground in a sense and say, would you like these kinds of things in your life? Well, who wouldn't? And we say Christianity offers them. And because it offers them, we ought to at least honestly take a look at it and see if it's true. And by the way, I think when they do take a look at it, and if we're there with them, we'll find out a lot of good reasons to believe in Christianity.